So when I originally asked to do this, we were at 1,000 users, so the title was a bit more punchy. But I'm Patrick, and last year I started a company with two co-founders, and kind of going to talk about how we got from 0 to 1,300 users now, using Rails and AI. So I'm Patrick Karsh. I've been a Rails developer since 2014. Before I did the startup, I had built and launched a few products at like larger companies from scratch. And I had always had the itch to like do everything from scratch. And so in the past year and a half, I built High Energy Rocket with two co-founders. And it's been a pretty exciting experience. So what is High Energy Rocket? What did I build? It's basically like the largest database of affiliate programs. So affiliate marketing is that thing where they like give you a kickback if you click on a certain link. There's attribution involved in that. And typically publishers will have relationships with 10,000 or so affiliate partners, and they need a way to like keep track of that. So here's basically one of our clients' accounts. This is probably our biggest client, where they have about 76,000 approved programs, and they use us to track it. So what I'm not like a hardcore AI expert. I'm basically like a Rails engineer who's started dabbling in AI a few years ago. And I kind of try to incorporate AI into like the type of SaaS products I had been developing originally. So for the first 8 months of this company, I was working full-time at another job. So I also don't have any insights on work-life balance. I basically like worked an 8-hour day and then stayed up till 1 a.m. to build this. So I kind of have a theory that a lot of the SaaS products that are out there could be a lot better if they were built from the ground up with in a sort of AI-first manner with current technologies that are out there. Or better yet, you could do a lot of things that were not possible because they would be too labor intense, or the margins just weren't there to like allocate a person to do something. And that's kind of like sort of the angle that we've approached this product that we built. So High Energy, so my two co-founders worked at Honey PayPal. So they kind of brought about 40 years of expertise in the affiliate marketing space, and I'm kind of the builder. So they're kind of like the happy salespeople, and I'm the person that pulls my hair out and makes sure everything works. So some of the challenges in building what we do is there's dozens of affiliate networks. We probably currently integrate with about 12 of them. There's very little standardization across platforms. So like some affiliate networks will provide an accurate list of categories that the merchants belong to. Some of them provide descriptions, some of them don't. And there's so many of them, and they constantly change, that it would never make sense for a person to go in and card all that data. Basically, we'll add or remove programs at the rate of 1,000 a day, and even if we had a team of like 50 people doing data entry and going in and cleaning up this data, we would never be able to like efficiently classify and normalize like all the data that we come in. But thanks to recent advances in AI, we can actually start to do stuff like that. So for instance, here's our kind of dashboard product. And we kind of pull in all these advertisers from disparate sources. like basically like clean up and normalize these like programs, so somebody browsing this can go through and like click through and see like the 1,000 or so programs they're approved to. So how this actually happens. So we do actually, basically like the way we do this is we have a series of prompts that we feed to various models to basically like clean up and normalize any data that we get into the system. We like constantly adapt this criteria and so based on like customer feedback. And then we also have like specific models to actually go in and read blocks of text and look for specific data. So if I can find an example here of a recent advertiser that we pulled in that doesn't, so sequin, this is already cleaned up. So, so this is kind of a sample of like the type of data that we receive from the network. So the network, so it's kind of like all these unstructured fields, which are different for each network, and then a short description, and we can then basically use ChatGPT to like go in and clean up this data and structure it in a way that is useful to users. So some of the big things is we will classify advertisers with different verticals. So it will like read the description of the advertiser and actually like send an agent to the advertiser's website and actually look up like what categories that company operates in. And while this is like somewhat like a pretty basic use of ChatGPT, it's incredibly useful for people who are trying to compile a list of advertisers that they possibly would want relationships with. And it's very sort of helpful for them to say discover advertisers that are similar to the ones that they are processing a pretty big transaction volume with. So one of the things that we also did is we found out that there are like a lot of advertisers that are not fungible operate in the same category. So both Gucci and Payless Shoes sell accessories and shoes. A publisher that would do particularly well with Gucci probably would not do particularly well with Payless Shoes. So we kind of layered in this thing that we just made up called vibes. I do want to like appeal to the younger generation. As a 29-year-old who's been 29 for 10 years, I do want to be cool with the vibes. The other thing is so even getting these advertisers like name correct. So for instance, a lot of the names of their programs on the network were not the name that people were familiar with. So a lot of like programs on the network will be like Dongguan Fishmool, and like they're operating as Shein in the United States, and so like even to get it to a point where you could like search by like the brand name you were familiar with was a lot of like cleanup and normalization. And if a human was doing this, like it would have taken hundreds of years. So like it wasn't really possible to do this in a consistent manner before ChatGPT. So it's not that we're in a sense like replacing a person that would be doing this. it just would never make sense to, even in the most low-wage country, like pay somebody to like clean up and normalize all this data, because the margins in our industry are just not there. So yeah, there's a few of them. Things that worked really well with AI. So at our core, we're just cleaning up data with AI and displaying it to people in a way that's like just more useful to them. So it was really good at finding categories and like normalizing categories. The other thing that it's quite good at is combining similar categories. So if we give it ChatGPT 2 categories, say, of like fashion and clothes, it's smart enough to know that fashion and clothes are probably one and the same category. And even something like seemingly insubstantial of like that, if you're compiling a list of like thousands of advertisers, the fact that you can go in and like accurately card them with categories is quite useful. Now, the other thing is, like, I do like to point out how many ridiculous advertisers we have in this. So also, like, if you were having a person go in and card these advertisers, like, nobody would know who this company is. So the AI, though, is apparently very familiar with this website. So, like, I don't know if I can find a good example of it, but the other thing that was particularly difficult is, so a lot of advertisers will bury what their commission rate is in a description field instead of putting it in the description field. And another thing that the AI was actually incredibly good at was just like finding a commission rate in a block of text and like returning an integer to you, which, like, seemingly very simple task. If you had a person do it, it would take months. So, the other cool thing is, like, for this at least, you can actually have Cursor rewrite this to work with different models and like optimize it for newer models. It's actually kind of insane what Cursor and Windsurf can actually do. Kind of challenges when you like are starting a company. Like, obviously you're getting pulled in a lot of different directions, and everybody has like ideas for features that like need to be built. Like, every user you talk to will have a feature that if they don't get it, they can't use your product. And one of the problems with like Cursor and Lovable is it's made it easier to build those features. And the problem is like you have to maintain those features. And over time, that can like build up, and if you're a small company, it can really take those out. So it's kind of like simultaneously made it like harder to say no, and more necessary that you say no more often and keep the product like relatively like synthesized, and not build more than you can like reasonably expect to maintain. So like. My CEO found like Lovable, and he built like a Chrome extension overnight, and it's kind of like the typical like project manager like coming up to you with like something that's like 80% of the way there, but the remaining 20% is incredibly hard. But you know, like I like learned how to do a Chrome extension overnight just to like get that out the door, because you know, one customer wanted it. So some things that we tried and failed to do with AI, we tried to find contacts with AI pretty early on, and it would it would just make up people. I think it like made up like 1,000 or so fake people, and that was kind of embarrassing because it got like maybe like the first 400 right, and then when we demoed it, it was just it was making up employees that apparently had worked in marketing for 12 years. The other thing that it will make up is it will kind of, like, you can kind of tell when it's riffing. Like if we feed it an advertiser where there's like no public data for, it will kind of sound like a, it will kind of sound like a kid who didn't read the book doing a book report. Obviously, like you have to like adjust the temperature and like tune the model to, or like tune how you call ChatGPT to like kind of keep it from doing that. Although, like, honestly, like, again, if you had a person doing it, they probably also would do that. So it's like the stuff you do with AI only has to be like as good as a person. Like I think sometimes it's like it doesn't have to be better. So some of the challenges, like, so me and my CEO were like super optimistic about what you can do with AI, and we like are really sort of like push the envelope of like what we can do with AI. But sometimes we'll be in a meeting and we'll promise a customer something, and he'll like turn to me and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, you can just do this with AI," and I was like, "No, you can't." So like sometimes it was like, "Oh, do a graph of like transactions," and I was like, "AI can't count, so you know, you're." Don't do that. The other side is sometimes people will hear that we do things with AI, and that will like cause them to be like incredibly dismissive of like everything that we're doing. And so like in our system, our data is mostly a pastiche of like real data where it needs to like have hard numbers. Like we have a transaction panel, which is you know, pretty like pretty like, this is kind of almost all straight SQL, and it's not a there's no like estimating here or like AI here. It's just like it's hard numbers. But sometimes when we do some stuff with AI, people will assume that we're doing everything with AI, and we've really had to like temper people's expectations, and say like, "Oh no, that we're not. You can trust us on this." But the other thing is, a lot of times, even people internally will advocate for like a human-in-the-loop process. And it'll be fairly labor intensive to like build a sort of human in the loop process. But like, and they say that they will use it every day, and then they use it twice and then never touch it again. And then we'll just like end up sunsetting it. So hope that was relatively interesting. So we did just raise money, so we have, and so I would, if some of the stuff that we're doing sounds relatively interesting, I know it's a relatively like niche industry, but we are looking to hire a few engineers. So if you're the type of person that would be like happy doing Rails API integrations, which I know is the most interesting thing on earth, if you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, I would be happy to hear from you. You know, hopefully I didn't bore you guys all to tears, but this is, I don't give presentations much. The other thing is there were supposed to be pictures in this from our offsite, but I did not get them back from our photographer in time. So sorry for the boring looking presentation, but thank you guys all for your time.